So to start with, Simon, for those people who don't know you yet, may I know who is Simon? And yes, how will you
Ah,
describe yourself?
yeah, I guess who is Simon could have a lot of answers, but yeah, look, I have I suppose me as a person, I'm married with, I've got two adult sons. I have a passion for, I believe that people have the solution to so many of society's problems. I believe that there's a really strong, the more people can connect with each other, the more effective we can be as a community. We're always going to be more effective as a community than we ever are as individuals. And my passion is contributing to that, both as a community member, but as a business.
Mm-hmm. I see. Thank you. Well, Simon, how did you start, by the way, with what you are doing right now, if I may ask
Interesting.
you?
Yeah, good question. I had I started when I first left school. I started doing engineering at university. I had this view that I could build bridges and roads and buildings and those sorts of things, or design them in a way which helps society. I soon learnt that, in fact, you needed a lot more than a passion for the community to be a good engineer. So I didn't complete my engineering degree and ended up doing economics. So I did an honours degree in economics. I wrote a thesis about the Australian wage conditions in the Great Depression. So that was my sort of, I had a real passion for that. I spent some 15 years in the Commonwealth Public Service, initially in policy areas of the Social Security Department, and then ultimately getting to where I wanted to be in terms of, I spent some years in the Prime Minister's Department, managing industrial relations policy, and then ended up moving to other parts of the public sector. Yeah, did a lot of policy work on non-wage employment conditions in Australia, the development of Australia's policy on termination, change and redundancy, on annual leave, on a lot of award conditions. So Australian people would, who run businesses, would know a lot about these various conditions that they probably curse them in their industrial awards. But that was a number of years, and then I ended up moving out of the public sector and consulting with Coopers and Lybrand Consultants for a number of years. I was the HR director of the Textile, Clothing and Footwear Council, which is the National Industry Association for textiles, clothing and footwear manufacturers. Headed up leadership development at ANZ Bank for a number of years, and then eventually went out on my own. So I've been in my own business since about, what was it, about 2000? 20 odd years now in my own business.
Wow.
So with a passion for creating amazing workplaces.
Oh, that's amazing. So I'm very curious about this. How do you do it? Like, how do you create a very well workplace for an organization? I'm very curious.
Creating amazing workplaces.
Yes,
okay. Well, it's interesting because you know that, I mean, you would know, and a lot of people who will be watching this would know, that so often in workplaces, people look at things like, communication keeps breaking down, or people talk about the teams not working properly. We seem to be sort of doing everything we can to communicate with teams, and the teams don't get it right. Well, the way I approach it is I tend to take it a step back from just communication or just teams, and I work with what I call the organisation's DNA, which for me is teams, leadership, culture, and the engagement of people. So the objective is that through a process of understanding what the hidden costs are, because when organisations aren't working well, when people aren't engaged, there's a lot of hidden costs. There's labour turnover costs. There's high levels of workers' compensation costs. there's absenteeism, and there's just plain poor quality work. And so through understanding what those hidden costs are, I help organisations to address them. I do 360 feedback with leaders and managers and help them understand where their thinking and their actions in fact can drive better results. Because in the end, it's about getting greater profitability and being more nimble,
right?
Being able to respond to external pressures a lot better.
I see. Well, what are the ingredients that you see, Simon, in terms of amazing workspace? Based on your experience, have you discovered any missing, the main ingredients, or perhaps that you can share?
Okay. Well, I suppose
journey.
using my concept of organisational DNA, it tends to be the ingredients tend to be made up, particularly of having constructive leaders, and leadership is experienced at all levels of an organisation. I don't subscribe to the model that the leaders are the senior managers in the organisation. I think that amazing workplaces, or I've discovered that amazing workplaces have leaders at all levels, that people experience leadership at all levels of the organisation because they're trusted and they are respected, and people at all levels of the organisation have an input into being able to sort of identify when things are going wrong. It shouldn't be the managers that have to solve it. And if you've got people who are leaders at all levels of the organisation, they'll step forward, they'll solve the problem. And I don't really mind whether it's the most junior frontline call centre operator or the chief executive. People who are working face to face with the customers know where the problems are. And my particular focus is mid-sized healthcare, and there are the level of turnover, the level of disenfranchisement of frontline nursing staff and frontline hospital administration staff and health centre staff is quite high. And very often they're not given, they don't have opportunities to change the things in the organisation that are wrong. So it's that empowerment of people that will enable businesses to really shine, deliver amazing customer outcomes.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes, I hear that, like, about empowerment and uplifting people in the organization is very critical in the overall success of an organization.
If people feel empowered, they'll be really looking forward to coming to work. They'll be making changes. They'll be seeing the benefits of their decisions, of their thinking.
That's beautiful. Simon, do you have any tips for people, especially for organizations, how to empower especially those people in the front line or in the junior levels? Is there any power words that that you see it ignites?
I mean, the best way to empower people is to ask them their opinion and involve them in solving problems. If people feel they are valued, and the materials that I work with, the value is in getting a balance between task and people. And when people are valued and their relationships are strong and they're trusted, they work more effectively. They deliver the outcomes. Communication doesn't break down as often. The organisation can be nimble in the face of external change, and therefore they're profitable. So it's that talking to and listening to people is a really critical part of the process.
That is one great solution, because most of the time when there's a problem, it's always the high level, and then it's very beautiful what you said. Thank you.
And the thing is that if all the pressure is put on the people at the highest level, then they burn out. It's a terrible lot of pressure to put on them. And if more senior people can feel comfortable to trust others.
Mm-hmm.
When culture isn't great and when leadership isn't appearing throughout the organisation, it's by no means a criticism of the existing management and leaders in the organisation. It's important that they see that as a problem that others can help them solve, because the more they share the solutions to the problem, the more they seek solutions throughout the organisation. Now, look, sure, people are going to come up with some weird ideas, but it's important as the senior people in the organisation to be able to filter out the weird ideas to ones that are really going to make things work better.
Make a difference.
And sometimes weird ideas are a great idea. You know, it's
Yeah.
the most unusual idea that sometimes creates a really innovative workplace.
That's so true. And most of the time, by listening, you know, it's really important. Quality for both, even, you know, to listen really and get the insights of each and every person in the organization. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Simon, you've been with Symphony 7 for quite a while now. May I ask what led you to join the community?
Oh, well, I think the thing that attracted me most, Jeremy Scrivens, in fact, introduced me to the organisation. But the thing when I first was talking to Anthony and Jenny and George, in fact, for me, it was the emphasis on, well, I think the words that Anthony uses is profit for good. There is a greater purpose to business than simply earning a profit or simply generating work. That there's a broader purpose, and I like that. I'm very committed to that, and I think I started our discussion talking about my commitment to community, and that's I hope where I can take, if I can support other businesses through my work to deliver great business outcomes, then the community is going to benefit, because people are going to have great places to work, and what better way of living their life than having a fantastic place to work in.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. Yes. By the way, Simon, before we end this interview, I'd just like to ask you, what was the best advice that you can ever share to us? You know, having lived for for a long time, what is the best advice?
I haven't lived that long. I'm not that long. I think it is funny, actually. You did have that question in an email to me, and I've thought a lot about it. And I'm not a big one for big pieces of advice, but one of the things that that I have learned, and that I'm not sure was ever given to me as advice, but one of the things that I'm very committed to is, when in a professional sense for my business, that the frontline people, the receptionists, the people who greet you at a business, have every, to treat them well, to respect them, to engage in conversation with them, is every bit as important, and you find out absolutely every bit as much about a business from talking to them as you do from the senior executives. And it's that's a really interesting thing that I've learned a lot from talking to frontline people in organisations. Sometimes a lot more about what's really happening in an organisation than I would have learnt from the executives.
Very, very interesting.
A little bit of a curveball, I guess, that one. But
so if you want to get to know the CEO, you ask the frontliners, something like that.
Yeah, well, it's but it's that. I mean, the frontline people in any organisation are the business. And I often said when I've been working with people on in terms of customer service, and I use the Melbourne department store as an example, and I say that the man or woman who serves you at the counter at Myer is Myer. There's, when you are a customer, that person is the business. They personify the business.
That's so true.
And the business can have all sorts of policies and procedures and ways of operating, but in the end, the customer sees the frontline people.
Yeah, understand. I totally resonate with that. With any business at all, actually, that's the first, that's the first contact. So it's very important to have really a harmony in there.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
when people are engaged and excited to be at work, it shows. They absolutely,
that's so true.
they wow a customer every single time because they're so excited to be there and so excited to help their customer.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, well, Simon, to those who would love to get to contact you or to reach you, is there a website or a LinkedIn that you would like them to share?
Probably the best thing is to look me up on LinkedIn, Simon Osborne. Look me up on LinkedIn or email me at simon@practicalworkplacestrategies.com.au. I'm more than happy. I love to have conversations with people about how they are committed to creating amazing workplaces. Those conversations, it needn't be a person ringing me to ask if I'll work for them or do some work with them. I'm always happy to have conversations, always happy to share my knowledge with people if people are wanting to have a chat about their workplace. So that's simon@practicalworkplacestrategies.com.au.
All right. Thank you so much.